Hey, and happy new month to you. If you're listening to this, I am so excited to be here on Reflections by Wakeji. Wakeji asked me to do another book of the Bible for her. I think this will be the first or second book that I'm doing here on her podcast. And she asked me this a long time ago. I think it was like in October last year. And I was so tempted. I really wanted to pick a book that is my personal favorite, which is the book of Nehemiah. And I was like, no, let me take a book that I have never spent like a lot of in-depth study on. And one of those books where you're like, can anything come out of this book? So I landed on First Chronicles. I'm so excited to be bringing it to you. I'm also so happy that I'm the one who gets to start the year on this podcast. I think that's a lot of trust from her. And I believe and I really hope that we can take this journey through First Chronicles together. It's going to be so exciting. Just in the way that First Chronicles is set in the Bible, because for me, I'm a firm believer that the Word of God is powerful, and any book in the Bible is like in itself super powerful. Whether you're talking about Numbers, which is full of numbers, or you're talking about Leviticus, which is full of laws. I believe that everything in the Word of God is put there for a reason. So we're going to glean into First Chronicles and learn a lot of things together. The book of First Chronicles is First and Second Chronicles feels like an overlap, okay? If you read First Samuel, Second Samuel, First Kings, Second Kings, and then you come to First Chronicles, Second Chronicles, you feel like some of these stories are repeated. But then actually that overlap continues even into the book of Ezra, the book of Nehemiah. And the reason is that all these books are telling one story. They're telling the story of Israel's history. And so you're getting the writers, tell a story here, and then you come and get a little bit more detail here. Sometimes when you're reading First Kings or Second Kings, and then you read First Chronicles or Second Chronicles, you're seeing like some of the chapters are actually copy-paste from the earlier books that I've mentioned. But that's because it's the story of Israel that is being told. And so we're going to look at this. The first part of First Chronicles, if I can just position and kind of explain what to expect as we go on, is going to have a lot of detailed genealogies. Like we're going to go through names going all the way back to Adam. Can you imagine? We're going to go all the way back to Adam, the first man, like the origin of your story and my story. And then we're going to track through the genealogies, Adam's sons, and from Adam's sons to their sons, all the way. As we read, one other thing that you're going to notice is that a lot of these names are mentioned, but there's a big attention, a bit more attention is given to Judah, to Levi, to David, to Solomon, and there are reasons for that. If you want to think about Judah, that's the genealogy from which Christ came. If you want to think about Levi, that tribe was so important to God because their role was to facilitate worship, and we'll see that as we go on. If you want to think about David, we know the role that King David plays in the history of Israel. If you want to think about Solomon, a lot of attention to Solomon is given to him because he's the one who builds the temple of God. And we're going to see that story unfold. And so that's something to bear in mind. We're going all the way back to Adam, but we're going to see a lot of attention being given to Judah, to Levi, to David, Solomon, as we go in the story. Why is it important that this book is set in the way that it's set? It's possible to get lost in the names. There are so many names that are being mentioned. It's possible for you to gloss over this book and just run to the juicy parts of the Bible that we like. But the thing I want us to see is that it's important. Why it's important that all these names and ancestors and who was the son of who, why are they mentioned? It's because God takes a keen attention to remind Israel of their history, of their origin. It's when you remember your origin that you remember your calling. It's when you remember where you came from that you can even remember why you are here. I find this happening to me a lot. Like when I go to Shags, there's a thing about going to Shags or going to the primary school that you went to, the high school you went to, the places where you grew up, where you played, who you played with. There's a thing about remembering where you've come from that brings so much meaning to where you are, to the present. And that's what God is doing. God takes the Israelites all the way back to Adam to remind them, you guys, look, this is your origin. This is where you came from. This is who has brought you to this place. These are the names in your story. And when you see the names in your story, now you start to understand that there's a calling upon my life. There is something greater than this mundane life, than these ordinary days that I'm facing. That's what we are going to see in this book. And I pray and hope that you will be excited as we go through First Chronicles. Today, I just wanted us to give the overlay of what to expect. We are going to start with names and names and names. There's something interesting that I'll explain tomorrow to these names. We're going to start with one name after another, one name after another. Don't get that bore you down or slow you down. There's some things we're going to gain from that. And then this book will pick up with stories of the temple being built. And we're seeing David excited about that. And then we're seeing Solomon take over from David and really build the temple. So it's going to be a very exciting book. And tomorrow we start from chapter number 1. My encouragement to you right now is maybe take some time, read the chapter so that by the time we're coming in to look at what that chapter contains, you will already have some idea of what went into it. First Chronicles, 29 chapters. I'm going to do 29 episodes with you. I hope that you can track through with me, and I believe that God is going to speak to us both personally, for you and I, for our devotion, for our walk with Him, and then in the larger picture of the story that we fall into. So let's look forward, let's get excited, let's do this. God bless you. Let's talk tomorrow. Have a good day. Bye.